Hello, good morning and welcome to Weekend Sports on Trust TV. It is a fantastic Saturday morning and of course we're right here to talk sports and make sure you get every bit of information and everything else in between. I am Ibrahim Yusuf, standing in for Adeni Ajishafe, who's taking much needed rest and of course making sure that he is refreshed and rejuvenated for everything else to come. Well, we're going to be talking sports definitely because there's no bad time to talk sports, and of course it's the weekend. Lots of sporting activities happening, from the UFC to different matches being played in different leagues when you talk about football, and of course when you talk about international matches as well, those are also taking place, plus the bits and pieces of things that have actually happened throughout the week. So it's absolutely a jam-packed session, and of course we're going to have it right here on Weekend Sports. Now, first of all, we're going to start talking about, let's go to the MMA and talk about something that's going to be taking place this weekend, and that is Israel Adesanya. That's the last style bender taking on Alex Pereira, and of course he's looking to win back his title that he lost last November. Well, it was a shock to most people when after that match, when Israel actually lost that match, and lots of people were really surprised, because going into that particular MMA match, lots of people had Israel pegged down to actually make it. But the stylebender came up short, and he was pummeled really, and the referee had to stop that match to save him from further punishment. But still, game matches coming up, UFC 287 in the Miami-Dade Arena, and that match is coming up later today. So we hope to see what the stylebender can actually do, and if he can be able to regain that title and that he lost. If the style is still there, then we will definitely see it. Well, I know lots of Nigerians are out there and hoping that Israel Adesanya can actually make us proud. We still haven't gotten over the heartbreak of Kamaru Usman's loss, and I think the stylebender will do well to mend our broken hearts. So we'll keep an eye on that and see how it goes on UFC 287 right there, happening at the Miami-Dade Arena. Moving away slightly from MMA, let's talk football. The Nigeria Super Falcons are preparing for the Female World Cup. coming up later this year. And of course, they're right there in Turkey, and some trying to fine-tune their tactics and get the team sorted out. And they actually played a game against Haiti, and a friendly match. And they survived a late scare to actually win that game by 2-1. It was really impressive outing from the ladies. We do hope that they'll carry that form into the World Cup, because coming into the preparations for the World Cup, they hadn't been doing that well, losing 6 matches on the bounce before finally clipping that losing streak. So we actually hope that they will be able to get their acts together, and of course this win will give them the boost that they need. For a very long time, the Super Falcons have been a beacon of shining light for us when it comes to international football, and we've looked forward to their successes on the pitch as well, and of course some very brilliant players coming through in the female game, of course making the female game very prominent when it comes to Nigeria. But recently the results haven't been going their way, most especially in the African continent, where they used to dominate seriously. Results have not been going their way, and of course we hope they are on the path to getting back to winning ways, of course, and having a very, very impressive showing when it comes to the World Cup. Might not be able to win it, but at least let's have something to shout about when it comes to that. And we look forward to seeing what they can be able to do. So that game against Haiti was actually played. Nigerian girls gave a very good account of themselves. They survived a late scare actually to get the required goals, and of course come through that match unscathed, winning that match 2-1 against Haiti. A lot of people might say that Haiti is not really grade A friendly, you might say, considering the quality of the opponent. But when you're talking about modern football right now, there are really no minnows. Everybody is coming to make a showing, and of course trying to make a name for himself. And of course, playing against the mighty Super Falcons, it is an opportunity for every team to try and shine. So just like I said earlier, let's hope that this is an opportunity for them to put smiles on our faces when it comes to international football, because we haven't been having it quite well when it comes to internationals, most especially when the senior men's national team are not really giving us exactly what we want. So I believe that it's time for us to mobilize all the support for the Super Falcons, back them to be able to make the difference come the World Cup. So we'll definitely keep an eye on that, and keep an eye on the preparations of the Super Falcons as they get ready to take on the world. Well, bringing it back home now, as I said earlier, it's the weekend, lots of football action coming up, and most especially when we talk about the local leagues, the Nigeria National League, I'm talking about the NNL now. The games coming up this weekend, most especially when you talk about the various conferences, and of course the various groups and various matches. So we'll take a look at the Group A1, Northern Conference Group A1. We've got 2 games coming up. That's Kogi United taking on Mainland Tariki Care, and of course Mighty Jets taking on ABS. Other games to be played in the Northern Conference Group A2, we have Green Berets and taking on NAF FC, and City FC hosting FWC champions. And still talking about the Northern Conference, talking Group A3 now, we have just 1 game there. That's Sokoto United playing Kebbi United. That is actually a local derby when you look at how close these 2 teams are geographically. And moving on, NNL Northern Group Conference Group 4, that's Adamawa United and against DMD FC, and Yobe Desert Stars hosting the Police Machine. And of course those are games that we actually look forward to, talking about the Northern Conference, and those are groups A1 to A4. Now let's talk about the Southern Conference Group B1, and as we have Hansard FC taking on Vendreza FC, and of course Rovers against Warri Wolves. Gorand FC hosts FC1 Rocket. Now those are games to be able to look forward to when we talk about the Southern Conference B1 in the NNL. Now the conference, we have the B2, and we have 2 games coming up there. Ijebu United taking on Sporting Lagos, and Smart City are going against Crown FC. Still talking NNL matches. The B3, that's talking about the Southern Conference now, Group B3. Abeokuta Stormers Sports Club are playing Ekiti United. And finally, talking about the NNL Group B4 in the Southern Conference, We have 3 matches coming up to look forward to. Adel FC talking about taking on Heartland, and Giant Brillers against Senesaw FC, and of course Abia Comets taking on Ibom Youth. Now, the one very good thing about the NNL League is most of these teams that you actually look at, most of these teams that you see are privately owned teams, and that is something that we really want to see when it comes to Nigerian football. It's something that we've advocated for a very long time, because that is what is going to bring our league the prestige and bring it back to where it's supposed to be, and of course getting the required attention and the required money being pumped into it as well. Because if you don't have private ownership, then we don't treat football as a business, and then it's going to be a serious problem. When you look at the teams in the NPFL, that's the Nigeria Professional Football League, most of these teams are state-owned, meaning that the states actually take full responsibility of these teams 100%, and the players are virtually civil servants. That means they get paid by the state state government funds the football club, and of course these teams can operate at a loss. They can afford to do that because they're using state funds. But when you have a private institution coming in to own a football league, that is when you can be able to run it as a business, and of course pump the required money and investment into it to make sure that it actually works. So performances on the pitch are actually rewarded with things off it as well. But when you have state-owned teams that can afford to run at losses, it doesn't really matter whether the team performs or not. They know that they are virtually civil servants and they'll get paid no matter what because of state funds that are going in there. So we hope that what we are seeing in the Nigeria National League will transform and transfer itself into the NPFL as well, where we have more private ownership when it comes to football teams. Now, talking about the NPFL, we have fixtures coming up in the 2 groups. And the Nigeria Professional Football League, match day 13, Group A. The Benin Arsenal, that's talking about Bendel Insurance, taking on Kwara United. That is something that a match that we really look forward to. And of course, Enyimba playing Plateau United, very serious clash there as well. Awka United host Nasarawa, while Remo Stars travel to Shooting Stars, Opsutin, as we used to call them back in the days. And of course, Gombe United will host El Kanemi Warriors. I would call that a northeastern derby, if you would like to see that. I mean, like, judging by the closeness of both teams geographically, promises to be explosive like any other derby as well. And all derbies, form doesn't really matter when it comes to derbies. It actually goes out the window. Whoever takes the day takes it. So let's take a look at the league table when we're talking about the NPFL Group A. The Benin Arsenal leading the way. Bendel Insurance, after 12 matches, they haven't lost a single game. They've won 7 and of course drawn 5 out of those matches. They have 26 points and they're sitting pretty at the top of the table there. Closely followed by Awka United, who are 4 points adrift, and of course Plateau United and Enyimba of Aba making up the top 4. Nasarawa United, El Kanemi Warriors are right there, 9th and 10th respectively, and they need to really get their acts together in order to get out of the relegation zone as it is right now. Exciting times ahead as far as the Nigeria Premier Football League is concerned, and that is the Group A. Now let's take a look at matches coming up in Group B of the NPFL. Dakada FC taking on Doma United, and of course Lobi Stars host Abia Warriors, and that is a game that we would really like to keep our eye on. Wiki Tourists take on Bayelsa United, Niger Tornadoes against Rivers United, and of course Sunshine Stars host Enugu Rangers. Now, lots of interesting matches to look forward to. Match day 13 as it is in the NPFL. Now let's take a look at the table for the NPFL Group B. As things stand before this week's matches, Lobi Stars leading the pack with 20 points, closely followed by Rivers United on 19, who actually have a game in hand. And Doma United coming in third, having played 2 games more than Rivers United, are tied on 19 points as well. Niger Tornadoes are close 4th, rounding up the top 4 there, and they're coming in with 18 points. It's really tightly knit up there with just 2 points separating the top 5 teams as regards to the table. Bielsa United, Dakada FC bringing up the rear in 9th and 10th respectively, and of course they need to do something really serious to get out of it. Well, this is an abridged version of the MPFL League, and of course we hope to see how things pan out at the end of the day. But how about Bendel Insurance this season? I mean, they have taken the league by storm, still undefeated after 12 rounds of matches, and leading the pack as far as Group A is concerned. Well, lots of people are saying they could be sneaking in to take the title at the end of the day. Nobody expected them to go on this fantastic run as it is right now, but lots of attention has been drawn to their performances, and of course getting those required points to make sure that they make a very big splash. So we will definitely keep an eye on that for you concerning the MPFL, is what we're going to be looking at as well. At this point, let's take a few clips from the MPFL and see how some matches actually turned out in the league. Extended highlights there coming in from the MPFL. Of course, Nasarawa United taking on Akwa United. Akwa running 3-0 winners away, and that is something that you, for a very long time, you hardly see when it comes to Nigerian Professional Football League, a team winning away actually. So these are things that go to show that our league is actually improving and maturing as well. We've got lots of other things there going for us. Fantastic play there all round, very good build-up play, nice set pieces that were actually taken there. Quality of play generally has greatly improved. We saw the pitch there was something to look at, but there's still other issues that we really need to look at when it comes to our league. We need to promote it, because when you take a look at the stadium, it's virtually empty, and there were no spectators there in the stands to actually go there to cheer those teams on. And of course that goes to gives the boost, the required boost, and of course it adds to the aesthetics when it comes to our Nigerian league. And that goes to show that we have a very long way to go when it comes to promoting our league, both internally and of course outside the country as well, so that we can get the required interest and get the required investments and money coming in, so that we can promote our league and to take it where it's supposed to be. Because for a very long time we have actually said that, and we've actually advocated for that. The Nigerian league is not where it's supposed to be, and we just need to put a couple of things in place for it to get there. Some things work, some things don't work. Mostly the officiating is really something to look at. We need to improve that as well when it comes to that, so that we can have a very well packaged product that we can sell to the world. You see leagues of other countries that we might consider not up to scratch being promoted very well, and of course you see them being broadcast on international media, live games being shown and all that, but our league is really not there yet. So we need to package it correctly, make sure that we get the required investment, and of course have a product that we can sell to the entire world. Talking about leagues and of course products that can be sold to the entire world, let's take a look at across Europe fixtures that are going to be taking place this weekend. Of course lots of interest in the English Premier League, and so we'll start there first. Let's take a look at the games coming up this weekend. Manchester United taking on Everton, and of course Aston Villa will play at Nottingham Forest. Brentford host high-flying Newcastle. Fulham want to get one over West Ham. Leicester City, who were recently managerless, taking off an AFC Bournemouth. Tottenham Hotspur still, of course, reeling from the sacking of Antonio Conte, will take on Brighton, and let's see if Stellini can actually make things work for them. Wolves take on Chelsea, another team searching for a permanent manager. They've gotten a deal through the window to see them through the end of the season, bringing back old fan favorite Frank Lampard to see if he can work the magic and get them through to the end of the season before they make a final appointment for someone permanent. Southampton still trying to get out of the Premier League wilderness, will take on Manchester City, which is a real tough ask. Leeds United host Crystal Palace, and of course the big one this weekend is Arsenal taking on Liverpool at Anfield. High-flying Arsenal, would like to say, of course, because they are top of the league right now. Liverpool not having a fantastic season when you look at the performances as it is. Well, from the English Premier League, we'll take a look at La Liga fixtures over there in Spain. And of course, we have matches coming up as well this weekend, so that we can be able to take a look at those games coming up in Spain. We have lots of interesting games. Real Madrid taking on Villarreal is actually something that we look forward to this weekend. Osasuna play Elche. Espanyol host Athletic Bilbao, while Real Sociedad host Getafe. And Real Valladolid, of course, taking on Mallorca. Real Betis face Cadiz, and Almeria take on Valencia. Rayo Vallecano take on Atletico Madrid. Now, when you look at these games coming up in the Spanish La Liga, you have Barcelona virtually trying to run away with the league as it is right now. They have a healthy cushion of 71 points over their nearest rivals, and of course Real Madrid. Talking about that, even though they've got one over them in the the domestic cup, but the league is something that remains quite intriguing. Real Madrid are not giving up, but Barcelona seem to be flying high as far as that is concerned. So we'll definitely keep an eye on that and see how things go at the end of the season. We have Almeria and Elche and Espanyol bringing up the rear when it comes to the Spanish La Liga table, and of course these are the guys in the relegation zone. As I said, we'll actually keep an eye on that and see how things go as regards to the La Liga title race. Now let's take a look at the German Bundesliga. Lots of interesting matches coming in as well. One thing about the Bundesliga is it never lacks goals, and goals, you have very high scoring games when it comes to the Bundesliga, and of course all that entertainment will come to you this weekend as well. Mainz 04 will take on Werder Bremen. The Bayer Leverkusen take on Eintracht Frankfurt. Union Berlin travel to Borussia Dortmund. Now that is a game of the week to actually look forward to. FC Augsburg take on Köln, and Freiburg host Bayern Munich. Hertha Berlin take on RB Leipzig. Mönchengladbach who host VfL Wolfsburg. VfL Bochum take on Stuttgart, and of course Hoffenheim take on Schalke 04. These are the games coming up on the German Bundesliga this weekend, and they might have some implications as to where the title might go, if it's going anywhere. I mean, we all know that immediately the Bundesliga starts is Bayern, and whoever comes second, third or fourth, recently changed their manager and trying to see if they can be able to reassert their dominance as far as the Bundesliga is concerned. Right now the difference between Bayern Munich and Borussia Dortmund on the table is just 2 points, so anything can actually happen there. So it's one of the tightest races that we've seen in recent times, with just 26 games played, and of course Bayern are sitting pretty with 55 points, followed closely by Borussia Dortmund, who want to pull one of their greatest rivals, and on 53. Well, Schalke 04 and of course Stuttgart are bringing up the rear as far as the German Bundesliga is concerned. So we'll keep an eye on that and see how things happen at the end of the season. Now let's go to Italy and look at the Italian Serie A. Matches going up this weekend as well. Games were played yesterday, and of course we saw Milan drawing at home to Empoli, and of course we're going to see matches played over the weekend. Udinese take on Monza. Fiorentina will play Spezia. Atalanta host Bologna, and of course Sampdoria hoping to get one over Cremonese. Torino take on Jose Mourinho's Roma, while Hellas Verona host Sassuolo. The big game of the week is actually Lazio and Juventus. It's a straight shootout between these two. Juventus trying to make up for the 15-point deficit that they started the season with, and of course making a real charge for the top four. And Lazio punching above their weight, you might say, this season, coming up and then trying to, and currently in second place, and of course trying to see if they can reel in high-flying Napoli, which is it's a tall order as it is right now. We'll come back and analyze some of these big games across these various leagues this weekend, and we'll take a look at the head-to-head of the teams involved. But that will be after we take a look at the Ligue 1 fixtures as well as the French Ligue 1, and of course games coming up in that league as well. Angers take on Lille, Nice host PSG, Lyon face Rennes, Ajaccio play Auxerre, Montpellier are hosting Toulouse, while Stade Reims play Brest. Troyes and Clermont will face off, and Nantes will host Monaco. Lorient take on Marseille. That is for the Ligue 1. Lots of interesting games there as well, but all eyes will probably be on Nice taking on PSG. Any game involving PSG in the Ligue 1 actually brings lots and lots of interest because of the caliber of players involved, and of course the kind of action that you hope to see whenever PSG actually play. So as I said earlier, There are some big games coming up this weekend across leagues. We did start talking about Arsenal taking on Liverpool, which is something that generates interest. No matter their league positions, these two teams always bring something serious to the party. Liverpool not having the best of seasons, just like we said, they are currently in 8th place and on 43 points, whereas we have high-flying Arsenal leading the table at the very top there with 72 points and are currently on a very, very long winning streak. It has been patchy for Liverpool this season at best, and they're trying to make sure that if they can be able to make the most of the last 10 games. If you look at the head-to-head when it comes to these two teams, they've played 204 matches between them. Arsenal has a total of 72 draws, while 72 wins rather, while Liverpool has won 78 times, 54 draws between them, and of course Arsenal has scored 278 goals to Liverpool's 307, and of course total points Arsenal 270 and 288 for Liverpool. Now that is the head-to-head after 204 matches between these two teams. Just like we said earlier, Arsenal are flying high this season, and of course results are going their way. They're getting the results under their belts, taking on and beating all comers. And of course, lots of people seeing the title heading to the Emirates. Well, that is if Manchester City have nothing to say about that as well. Liverpool are actually out of it. Definitely, the title is not something that they are aspiring for this season. A lot of people have actually written them off the Champions League places as well. We still have 10 games to go, as 30 points up for grabs, and anything can happen between now and, of course, the end of the season. Lots of people have even started calling for the head of Jurgen Klopp, saying that he has actually reached his peak as far as Liverpool is concerned. Well, that remains to be seen. Still 10 games to play, lots to play for, and of course we'll be right there at the end of the season to see how things pan out. But the big game in the Premier League this weekend is, of course, high-flying Arsenal taking on long-term rivals Liverpool, and that is something that we really look forward to. If we cross over to Spain, the match to take a look at will be Real Madrid taking on Villarreal. Now, the significance of this game is when you look at both teams as they stand on the league table. Real Madrid is second. They're behind Barcelona. They have 59 points, while Villarreal are 6th on 44 points. Now, the caliber of players involved is what makes this match something worth watching and something worth looking forward to. Real Madrid's season hasn't been as explosive as a lot of people might expect it to be. You do have the players to do the business and of course make the difference, but unfortunately things haven't worked out the way they're supposed to, and it is you don't know which Real Madrid you're going to get. You can either get the high-flying Real Madrid that can come in with a Benzema hat-trick and of course Vinicius playing everyone off the park, or you can get a very lackluster Real Madrid that will struggle in front of goal and of course struggle defensively as well. So that uncertainty is what makes this game worth watching. So keeping an eye on that match, Villarreal taking on Real Madrid, and that is match that we're looking forward to as far as Spain is concerned. When you look at the head-to-head of both teams, they've had some quite interesting clashes over the years. They've played a total of 46 matches, and of course Real Madrid has 25 points. Villarreal have won just 5. 16 draws between them, and of course Real Madrid is scoring 91 goals to Villarreal's 47, and of course a total of 91 points for Real Madrid to Villarreal's 31. Well, the gulf there in class is there for all to see, but just like I said earlier, it's not really that's not what we're looking at. What we're looking at is Real Madrid's patchy season, and we're looking forward to see which Real Madrid is going to turn up. If the Real Madrid that we know and they were capable of doing what they're doing actually turn up, then most likely there's a possibility that Villarreal could be played off the park, and of course we might be in for a rout. But they're no slouches either, even though they're not having the greatest of seasons, currently languishing in 6th position. That is talking about Villarreal as well. But if the patchy sort of Real Madrid show up, then Villarreal might have a chance and we could have a real game on our hands as well. Now, still talking about games that will interest us this weekend across leagues. We just talked about the Premier League and we've talked about La Liga. Now, let's take a look at the German Bundesliga. Good games coming up. Borussia Dortmund taking on Union Berlin is a match that, of course, will garner a lot of interest, and the main reason why this will be so is because of the position of these two teams. They are second and third respectively as far as the Bundesliga table is concerned. Borussia Dortmund are second on 53 points, followed closely by Berlin, who are on 51 points. So it's a straight shootout for second place when you look at it as things stand. As we spoke, as we talked about it earlier, when you talk about the German Bundesliga, every season is Bayern and then who comes second, third or fourth. This season is a bit closer as it is at the moment. So but lots of teams might actually fancy it, and Berlin are actually one of those teams that could fancy it this season, and they might be able to pull one off. They're looking at a situation whereby they can reel in Borussia Dortmund and of course catch Bayern Munich at the end of the day. It will be a shock and a surprise if Berlin were able to do that. Well, it remains to be seen. There's still some games left to be played till the end of the season, and we'll definitely keep an eye on that and see how it goes. Now, in the Italian Serie A, high-flying Lazio this season are taking on Juventus, and that is a game that has generated a lot of interest because Juventus currently are not where they're supposed to be, or not where they feel they're supposed to be. Lots of Juventus fans are actually feeling the heat right now. The current investigation going on in the club regarding their finances and of course padding the values of players and all that has really caused a serious storm at the Juventus arena, and of course they were docked 15 points at the beginning of the season, and they're still trying to make that up as things stand. But right now they have 44 points. If you add that to the 15 points that they were actually docked previously, they would have been on like 59 points, and that would have taken them in second place behind Napoli. They would have been above Lazio in the table if those 15 points have stood. But Lazio right now is currently second, following high-flying Napoli, and who a lot of people actually believe cannot be caught at the moment because they're playing very, very fantastic football as it is. Even though 2 weeks ago it was a rare defeat in the hands of Milan, but they did roar back this week, and of course winning this weekend as well. Osimhen having the season of his life, and very good work there being done by Luciano Spalletti at Napoli. They probably will not be caught, and of course we're looking at that very first Scudetto since the Maradona years. But the focus this weekend is actually on Lazio and Juventus to see who's going to get that coveted second place, and of course the Champions League places are still up for grabs. You have Juventus coming up the rear, you have Inter, they're there, of course Milan getting stuck in as well, and Atalanta could actually make a play for fourth place as well. So lots of interesting things to see towards the end of the season. Also looking at matches that might interest everyone across leagues this weekend, and of course we've taken a look at the Premier League, we're taking a look at La Liga, and of course Serie A as well. We've taken a look at the Bundesliga, and those are the matches that we are actually looking forward to. Still talking about the Bundesliga now, we're talking about Freiburg taking on Bayern Munich. Now this match might generate a little bit of interest because of Bayern in the sense that have a new manager. They're trying to see if they can be able to open up some distance between them and the chasing pack. If their change of manager will do the business, and if it can be able to make the difference for them. Usually when new managers come in, that there's this period of readjustment. There's this period whereby lots of people don't know what's going to happen or how it's going to happen, and that's where the interest actually comes from. So we a lot of people are actually looking at Bayern and Thomas Tuchel and seeing if he can be able to do anything different from what Nagelsmann was able to achieve at Bayern Munich. Well, he was not considered to be playing according to the, or up to the standard for that Bayern actually expects. Bayern Munich are leading the table. They're on 55 points, and Freiburg is currently fourth on 47 points. So they're still in it, and there's still lots to play for when it comes to that match as well. They looking at the head-to-head of both teams. They played 47 times. Bayern has won 33 times out of those 47. So you can see the gulf in class is actually there. But just like I said, lots of things can actually happen, especially when it comes to Bayern right now at the moment. Trying a transition, coming in, having a new manager in the fray. So we'll look at these games. These are the games that we're going to be concentrating on. Mostly they're going to be the ones generating the most interest when it comes to the leagues across Europe this weekend. And of course, they are going to give us absolute crackers that we look forward to watching, hoping to see the best of football being played across leagues. Now, we just spoke about Bayern having a new manager. That's Thomas Tuchel coming in to take the reins from Julian Nagelsmann, and of course he's trying to see if he can be able to make a difference. Well, something associated with Thomas Tuchel, a club closely associated with Thomas Tuchel, is Chelsea, as the team he left earlier in the season to actually now move over to Bayern. Chelsea seem to be clutching at straws, it seems, at the moment. They got in, Graham Potter came in. He was supposed to do a job. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. Todd Bowley, the new owner there, threw money at every problem that Chelsea had or seemed to have had, and that doesn't seem to work out. Now they're retracing their steps, at least towards till the end of the season, and have reappointed Frank Lampard, who they believe is going to be the one to steady the ship, so to speak, and of course take them to the end of the season before they can be able to hire a permanent manager. Lots of names being bandied about when it comes to the managerial position at Chelsea. Luis Enrique actually being talked of. Julian Nagelsmann is there as well into the fray. Recently, we were hearing Carlo Ancelotti about to make a comeback as well. And of course, talking about making comebacks, Jose Mourinho has also been touted to make a comeback to Chelsea as well. But as it stands right now, Frank Lampard is the interim manager, is going to hold sway till the end of the season to see if he can be able to steady the ship as far as Chelsea is concerned. They are not having a fantastic season at all, and of course they are not where they feel they need to be, considering the investments that they have made. Maybe they didn't buy right. Maybe it's a question of an administration. Maybe it's the blend of players. But lots of things have not gone right for Chelsea this season. So I think that is why they have decided to retrace their steps and, of course, go back with a fan favorite. Talking about Frank Lampard. He went to Everton, couldn't do a job there, unfortunately. But let's see if he can be able to redeem himself, so to speak, in his second spell at Chelsea. Quickly, before we wrap up right here on the weekend sports, some very interesting news coming in. Burnley have returned to the Premier League. Yes, Burnley, at the first time of asking, they were actually able to make that comeback straight into the Premier League, and they actually got the results that they need to get the all-important win to get promotion back. They won 2-1 away to Middlesbrough on Friday night at the Riverside, and that gives them a very, very big cushion when it comes to the chasing pack, and of course they can't be caught as it is right now, because they have all the required points that they need to get promotion into the Premier League. They have played a fantastic season. When you talk about Burnley, their results are there for all to see. They've lost just twice in 39 games, and of course they won 25 games and drawn 12. Absolutely fantastic things coming there as well, and they could be first championship side in a very long time to break the 100-point barrier. One thing that has made the difference for Burnley this season, a lot of people actually believe, is the arrival of Vincent Kompany as their manager. Of course, the former Manchester City great is the person who is attributed with the success of Burnley this season, and of course talking about former players becoming managers as well, that is something that gives a lot of former players hope. And a company came in to do a job at Burnley to make sure that they do get back to the Premier League, and of course he has done that for them. And of course we have started hearing a lot of people whispering that he could be a future Man City manager. Well, I believe Pep Guardiola has a lot to say about that as well. So interesting times await us, and we'll be able to see how Burnley are able to cope back in the Premier League, and of course that is for next season. Still a lot to play for this season. We'll wait to see where the Premier League title is actually going to end. Can Arsenal pull one over Manchester City, or will the citizens come through at the end of the day? Lots to look forward to till the end of the season. And on this note, as how we're going to wrap it up on Weekend Sports right here on Trust TV. Hoping you had an amazing time, as I've had an amazing time being here, bringing it straight to you as well. I am Ibrahim Yusuf. Have a wonderful weekend.